This is going to be a game changer. This is really exciting. And you don't have an iPhone, but you have an iPad, right?
I do, but it's like old ass iPad. It's like I think it's second generation iPad. It's old, but the thing is, we don't update it ever, and it runs awesome.
Yeah, you're going to have the latest operating system for Apple, I think, to be able to do.
That's fine. We only use it for movies.
This.
We only use it for 3 movies because that's all the hard drive can hold for on it.
And
it's so stupid.
How does this make any sense? But when you update your iPhone, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, or even a Mac, or one of their laptops, AirBooks, and all these things, Apple is going to be able to make it so you can communicate with 31 people at one time. We'll tell you how it's going down when we come back.
That's always fun. It's always fun when we talk to 2 listeners at the same time. You're telling me you get 31 people at the same time? That'll be a cluster F.
The FaceTime app is something that I use probably, outside of checking email and social media stuff, the most common.
That is the one
app that I use.
That is the best on Apple. I mean, Apple has that dialed in.
It's
Android can't do anything to replicate it because it's got to go through an app usually. And I know Google has some kind of calling feature, but it's still not as good. FaceTime is seamless, man. FaceTime is the stuff you saw in the movies when we were kids. It's good.
Can you imagine 31 people? I don't know how you would have a screen that would be big enough and how 31 people would communicate. And I was thinking, why would you even need like half of that? Let's say 15 people. And then I thought, you know what? Our fantasy football draft is always a pain in the ass. Now, the one thing usually with most drafts is, everybody logs in and they have their team ready to go in the draft. And so you don't have to be in the same room. But if you wanted to have people featured as they did their picks or whatever, you could have them up on the thing.
By the way,
if you're doing meetings.
I always think that the being behind your computer screen at home gives you the best advantage because nobody can see you and read your body language and see what you're going to do.
Your poker face?
Yeah. There's no poker face when you just do an online draft. That's why I'm not the party is fun and that's the way you should do it, but I don't push the party. And you know what? If the party happens, the party happens. Great. Whatever.
I don't think people take it as serious as you do.
That's true.
But you've been in the money a couple times.
That's why I'm commish.
Anyways, but yeah, think about like meetings and other things. Like if you have to work from home, maybe this is even a better excuse for you to say, "Hey, boss, let me work at home. I can get on here. Everybody from the office can get on here." The new iOS 12 will allow this to happen. I do it with like family, friends. I have certain friends like you. If you had an iPhone and I called you on FaceTime, you would probably not answer it. I have other friends that I chat with a few times a year that I'm always surprised when they pick up. But my folks like it. Then I can see them, and they can see me, and they can see our dog, and I can see whatever they're doing. And
they can show you the kitchen. My daughter, what she liked to do when we moved into the house was to probably the painful eyes of her grandparents is she would like to take the iPad around and walk and give the grandparents the tour of the house. So she's like, okay, this is the living room, but then it's a 4-year-old using it. This is the living room, and she's like moving it around like this. And they're probably my mom's had vertigo before, so I'm sure
she's
this is not good.
Sick.
Yeah, then she's like walking her down the hallway. This is my room, and she's tilting the iPad. People showing people things on iPads, you got to slow it down. Well, and you got to back up a little bit.
Yeah. My parents, they built everything. They're retired, and they built this outdoor kitchen area where they're going to be cooking and stuff. And so they're showing me, and I'm like, I just see a sink. I'm like, hey, all I see is a sink here. Can you take a few steps back so I can see what this thing looks like? And so then he takes a step back. I'm like, okay, now I can see the sink and the counter. Like, no, keep going back. No, there is a little bit of a buffer to use that. But it's kind of neat to think that if you could have 4 or 5 people on the same screen at one time, I don't know. I think it could be kind of a lot of fun.
But you like technology and stuff like that. This is like one of those things. It seems like you would use it a couple times and then be like, all right, cool, and then go back to the old way of doing it. I mean, like,
what if I told you could work from home and you could have this on and you could just pipe in via FaceTime and we could do the show that way, and I'll just look at you instead of in person. I'll look at you through the screen.
We could do that right now.
How?
With FaceTime the way it is.
Well, just you, but then what about if we need to bring somebody else in?
Who else needs to be brought in?
I could bring in 30 other people. That's pretty cool.
But couldn't you do that with like Skype or?
No, I don't know. Skype's stupid. Listen, we have it on here. It never works right. It sounds bad. FaceTime, the microphone on the iPhone
FaceTime is
products
awesome.
are better.
I don't know what
everything
they
is
do.
better. Skype is bad. It sounds echoey. You get feedback. It's just dumb. I've never got it. I don't understand.
There was an episode.
I understand how to work it. I just never got why people are into it.
There was an episode once of Modern Family where they did this. And I'm trying to think. The whole episode was done on a computer screen, and they thought that Haley had ran off to Vegas to get married to Andy. And so they were going back and forth. But I think when they did this is every time a new call came in, it would drop the other one. So you couldn't have like it wasn't like Phil and Alex were on two separate FaceTimes, but they would, like Claire would have to drop Alex in order to get to Phil type thing. And then vice versa. And then it was popping around, and then they were looking up stuff on the internet. It was a very innovative episode, but I don't think that they had everybody on at the same time. I just think you're opening a can of worms getting like more than two people to talk at the same time. But if they could see,
that's a good point. I didn't think about that because I can't even get my mom. Well, that's the thing is the reason I started using FaceTime is when I talked to my mom on her cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Since we can't see each other, she would talk every time I would talk.
Yeah.
So I would talk every time I would talk. I'm like, Mom, stop talking. Let me say this, and then I'll listen, and then you talk. God, what is this, first grade?
do you run into the same problem with FaceTime?
No, because
I
we're
do.
looking at each other.
I do. My mom will continue because I find what we do is we get uncomfortable looking at each other, so we look off away,
Well, then the same thing would happen.
and then we're talking, which is counterproductive as all hell be it. I like FaceTime. I think the technology is awesome, but I hate talking on it because there are certain things that you do when you're on a phone conversation. Like if my mom says something that makes me roll my eyes, she says it to me on FaceTime, I'm rolling my eyes because I still think I'm in a phone conversation. She's like, why do you have that look on your face? I'm like, what look?
And then you forget. You're like,
I'm like,
crap.
the connection must be bad. It must be a pixelated screen. I don't know what you're talking about.
She calls Jonas. Says, no, screen's fine. Anyways. So this is supposed to be coming out next year. So that's new. If you,
I have a poll question brewing about this whole work at home concept. Okay, here's the hypothetical that we're putting in place, part of the SurfNet Communications poll question this morning. By the way, SurfNet Communication, you can win 5 years of free internet if you click on the link at kzoz.com. Check it out especially if you're in those rural areas. Okay, this is the question: you get to work from home, but your employer gets to have a camera on you during work hours at all times. So, like, say I work for...
What's the point of working at home?
Why? Because you're not allowed to goof off?
No, come on. I want some privacy.
Do you do it? Do you do it? Your employer comes up to you and says, Jeremy, you know what? We're going to give you a break. You have to worry about spending money on gas. Hell, you don't even have to drive a car anymore at that point.
I'll do
you
it.
could save some money on some insurance.
I'll do it.
Because you get to work from home, but the thing is, we're going to have a camera on you at all times so we can monitor you just to make sure you're working.
While I'm at my desk, like a camera on a laptop or something, or a camera.
Yeah, I guess so, because then they could say, okay, well, you're
not going to follow me to the bathroom.
Yeah, you can't do that. But we're going to make sure that you're working. And then if you're away from your desk for any period of time, maybe a little alarm, like my refrigerator, if I leave the door open.
I'm going to get an email. What are you doing?
If I leave the door open for like more than 3 minutes, a little alarm goes off. It goes beep, beep, beep. Maybe that happens if you're away from your desk. Like your employer's like, okay, we've been watching her for 5 minutes now.
I think you and I would be bad at this just because we're such procrastinators, or we used to be anyways in school. We always put stuff off to the very end. I would just goof off all day. See, I think I'm different now, though, because back then I would goof off all day and then wait till the last minute to get something done and then turn it in.
Yeah.
So that's probably how I'd handle it. Now I like to get up
different.
and all my energy, everything I have is I'm a morning person.
Yeah.
So I get up on Saturdays and I'm doing the dishes, I'm cleaning, and my wife's like sleeping. She gets up, she's like, wow. She comes home from work and I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, I don't want to do anything. Like I had a whole day. Like all my energy was spent this morning.
Yeah, you want to take a
now
nap
I think
at 2 when everybody else is getting rolling.
I would just want to get through everything. See, the great thing about working at home is you're on your schedule, you're on your clock. So if you can get everything done in 3-4 hours that it normally takes you to do 8 hours at work because you have so many distractions from other workers, from meetings, all this other stuff, then more power to you.
My neighbor works at home. He works for Ernie Ball, but they've set up something where he can also work from home. So he works from home and then he goes into Ernie Ball, a couple times a week. But man, he seems like the happiest dude. And I'm thinking, man, But then also having a camera on you at all times. Like at my cubicle, I don't have a camera on me, but then my boss could walk around the corner at any time and ask me a question. So it's like, I don't know how to answer this. I would feel weird having somebody buzz in on me like, hey, I got a quick question for you. As they could pop up on your FaceTime at any point in time.
Yeah, it's just like work. Like if they needed to ask you a question or something, that'd be kind of nice.
But maybe this Apple thing is a game changer because it will allow people to work from home a lot easier because they'll have a camera on you essentially at all times.
Right. You can have that FaceTime.
They're like,
set up to go.
hey, Jeff, are you there? Oh, yeah, I'm right here. What's up? I just got a quick question about the
Johnson account.
I was going to say Murphy.
Oh, the Murphy.
The Murphy account.
The Johnson Murphy. The Murphy account.
Are you working on that Johnson Murphy project?
Yeah, West is working on the Johnson account. You're working on the Murphy account.
So we need to know, okay, you get to work from home, but your employer gets to monitor you by having a camera on you during work hours. Will you do it?
So far, 66% of people are saying no. I think that's crazy. I mean,
people don't like to be watched in their house.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, you have a camera right there on your computer. It's just watching you as you work. That's it. Brian's on hold. He had a couple of questions. Go ahead, Brian.
Hey, good morning, guys. I got 2 questions. Is the camera on you also on the screen that you're using, where you just see the person using the laptop? You don't get to see what they're watching?
Oh, I see what they're doing.
Yeah, and also, is the camera feed live being monitored, or can I, spoof a video and just loop it?
I think.
See, he's already trying to beat the system. He's already trying to beat it.
This is the problem.
This wouldn't.
So
he's the reason we can't work from home.
So the answer to both questions would be yes and yes then. Because once employers start to figure out that, okay, I just can't, I'm not going to just look at a guy looking at a computer screen acting like he's working because he could be playing fantasy football.
I'm going to watch what he's doing.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can't have another computer like your laptop right next to that. And, you're working on that, playing fantasy football.
So to answer your question, Brian, I think what they would do is they would be able to see a mirror of your screen and access what you're working on, see when you're working on it. I believe the people work from home already. Like the way that companies can monitor it is by monitoring the IP address and seeing what kind of activity is going on the IP address at that period of time.
Sure.
And let's face it, if you're working from home, you have to do the majority of your work online.
But it's not like the camera's following you around. I mean, it's just, it's at your desk. Just like when you turn your computer on and you're doing a FaceTime or a Skype video, it's watching you that way and it's watching what's happening on your screen. But if you get up and leave, you go to the bathroom, you go make yourself a sandwich, it's not like it's going to follow you everywhere.
This isn't going to be one of those things where a cutout of, you, a cardboard cutout of you is going to work.
Looping a video.
Acting like you're sitting there in a chair.
Just loop the video.
God, he hasn't blinked in 5 minutes.
He always wears the same polo shirt. That is so strange. Thanks for hanging on. Go ahead.
Hey, it's Craig. So I would prefer to work from home. I'll tell you, I can do in what it takes me roughly 8 hours to do at work with all the interruptions, all the phone calls, all the people coming up. I can do that in 2 hours at home. So you're going to have some interruptions if people, FaceTime you to ask you questions, but it's not going to be the menial interruptions that you get throughout the day.
Yeah. I mean, we have people walk in here all the time. Now, Jeff has done a pretty good job of scaring most people away between 6 and 10. But we work in the studio after 10 o'clock as well for a couple of hours. And that's when people love to come in.
Doesn't Craig work at a lumber yard?
And chat. Well, yeah, I think he
that kind of...
He runs the office or something.
That kind of...
So he probably could get a lot more of those office things done.
Require...
Yeah, some interaction. Yeah.
Yeah,
when somebody needs to speak to a manager, what are we going to bring him up on a screen?
I have a question about some butcher block. I don't want to talk to a guy that's sitting 5 miles away at his house.
Why not? Let me get Know-It-All Craig up here. But he calls us up. He knows it all the time. What are you talking about? Hi, thanks for hanging on. Go ahead.
Well, my question is, one of the benefits of working from home is obviously no uniform required.
Yeah.
What if your uniform of choice is you like to work naked? You want your boss watching you then?
Well, do you want your boss to see you naked?
Well,
that's the question.
Well, yeah.
You want your boss to watch you work there with your tatas hanging out?
Not really.
Okay, well then put a top on. How is that even a question?
I'm in my own home.
Well, no, you're not. You're on company time. You're just not sitting in your cubicle. You're going to sit at your desk at home.
Okay.
So if you got the opportunity, you're saying if you got the opportunity to work from home, you wouldn't do it unless you could work naked.
No, I would work clothed or unclothed as my choice. I would not want a camera trained on me while I was working in my home.
So you would rather just go into work?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
I understand that.
For me, it'd be different. I would love to work at home. I don't,
I saw a report this morning on the news
but I like to wear clothes at home. I don't usually walk around topless.
about these cams, these baby cams that you set up in the nursery, and one of the baby cams got hacked, and people were like trying to talk to the baby. And,
Oh yeah, I've heard these stories.
To sleep. They said that, the best way to go is with these monitors are the ones with the least amount of frills, like the ones that don't hook up to your phone, and the ones that don't,
Then how do you monitor it if you can't watch it on your phone?
closed circuit. So you get an actual monitor that comes only attached to the camera itself.
And how do you get that to your office?
No, I'm just saying that, that the more frills you have, like the opportunity to work from home, the more trouble you're opening yourself up to, because they'll have an insight. Your work, basically what you're saying to your work is, yeah, go ahead and put a camera in my home, turn it on whenever you want, because who knows, while your boss might be using it for the best of intentions, somebody else at your work might not be using it for the best of your intentions. And that's what I think is creeping into people's minds when 66% of them are saying, I don't know if I'd work from home because I don't want a camera fixated in my house all the time that people can access. People still like their privacy. I think if anything has taught us that, the Facebook scandal recently is kind of opened everybody's eyes to that.
Let's see. Brian writes in. He says, well, if they trust you, why have a camera? Well, because they might need to talk to you. They might need to get you on camera. They might need to have you in a meeting. They might need you to talk to a customer.
Or their managers. We've all dealt with middle managers. What is the one thing middle managers like more than anything? Power. They're going to use whatever olive branch or, I guess, fiber optic cable that is sticking out there to grab at to get more power. You got to think about those things. It's not just all like, oh, yeah, no commute. All right, woohoo, party time. I'm working from home. I'm sitting there in my underwear. No, they're going to be monitoring you. Would you be willing to do it? I don't think I would. Even though I have a commute, man, I would love it. I would love the opportunity to, but I don't know if I could.
The camera's only on you when you're in front of the camera.
You don't know that, though. You don't have complete 100% confidence
Sure I do,
in
because
this day and age. What, are you going to put a piece of tape over it?
No, I said the camera's only on you, and when you're in front of the camera, that's it. When you're in front of the computer, as long as when your work's over, close the laptop. Camera can't get you now because it's facing down. Doesn't matter if they turn it on. It's only on in the room that you're using it in.
Microphones don't work on those computers. I am just saying.
Never mind.
I'm just saying.
You need to come to work.
There is a lot of people. There are a lot of people that would be able to listen. If they're breaking into baby monitors, and I don't know what kind of information babies have, but
one person is broken into a baby monitor.
If they're breaking into baby monitors, this is something you got to think of, because you're talking about corporations now.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning. 93.3 KZOZ rocks.
Have a good morning.